The knife pressed against my throat isn't what terrifies me most. It's the way Adrian's hand trembles as he holds it. The way his eyes, those storm gray eyes I've kissed, loved, worshipped, shine with tears that don't match the blade at my jugular. The way his wedding ring catches the light from our bedroom window, the same ring I slipped onto his finger 6 months ago while promising him forever. "I'm sorry," he whispers, and I can smell the wine on his breath. The same vintage we shared on our honeymoon. God, I'm so sorry, but I can't stop now, not after everything. My back is against our bedroom wall, our bedroom, the one we painted together last spring, laughing as we got more paint on each other than the walls. The sheets behind him are still rumpled from this morning, when he kissed my shoulder and told me I was the best thing that ever happened to him. He's crying now, actually crying, and I'm the one comforting him. "Adrian," I breathed, hands raised. "Baby, what's happening? Talk to me." His jaw clenches. The knife doesn't move. "You really don't remember, do you? You don't remember what you did to me." My mind is racing. My heart is pounding. What I did to him? 14 years ago, he says, voice cracking. Westbrook High, freshman year. The room tilts. No, that can't be. "You made my life hell, Ethan. Every single day for 4 years, you made me wish I was dead." The knife lowers. I don't feel relief. I feel my entire world collapsing. I need to go back to before the knife, before the wedding, before I fell in love with a ghost I didn't recognize. Back to when I was just a lonely man trying to survive in a city that ate people like me for breakfast. I was 28 and drowning. Not literally, though some days when I'd stand on the subway platform during rush hour, I'd think about how easy it would be to just lean forward, just a little, just enough. I hated my job. I hated my apartment. I hated the reflection I saw in store windows, shoulders hunched, eyes hollow, the shell of the person I used to be before the guilt ate me alive. Because I wasn't always this broken thing. I used to be the king of Westbrook High, captain of the swim team, dating the head cheerleader, the guy everyone wanted to be or be with. I had power, and I wielded it like a weapon. I wielded it against anyone who didn't fit, anyone weak, anyone different. I don't like to think about those years, but lately, I can't stop. The memories come at night when I'm alone in my studio apartment with nothing but the hum of my neighbor's TV through the wall. I remember faces, names, the way certain people would flinch when I walked past. I remember being cruel because I could be. I remember laughing when I should have been ashamed. 5 years ago, I started therapy, started trying to become someone different, someone better. I cut off contact with my old friends, the ones who still thought our high school reign of terror was something to laugh at reunions. I moved to New York to escape the memories, but you can't outrun yourself. I was eating lunch alone at a cafe in Brooklyn when he sat down across from me. "The seat taken?" I looked up from my sandwich. He was beautiful. Dark hair that fell across his forehead, gray eyes that seemed to hold entire storms, a smile that was shy and confident all at once. He wore a navy peacoat and carried a leather messenger bag, and something about him made my heart skip. "It's yours," I said. His smile widened. "It's worry. I'm Adrian. Ethan." We shook hands. His grip was firm and warm, and I didn't want to let go. "I've seen you here before," he said, setting down his coffee. "You always sit at this table, always order the turkey club, always read on your phone while you eat." I should have felt stalked. Instead, I felt seen. "Guilty," I said, "creature of habit." "I like that." He leaned forward, and I caught his scent, something clean and expensive, cedar and rain. "Most people are chaos pretending to be order, but you seem genuinely steady." No one had ever called me steady. Reckless, yes. Arrogant, definitely. But steady? I try, I said. We talked for an hour, then 2. He was an architect, he told me, specialized in sustainable urban design. He'd moved to New York 3 years ago from somewhere in New England he didn't want to talk about. He loved old movies and hated small talk and thought that people who didn't like dogs couldn't be trusted. I fell in love with him somewhere between his 3rd coffee and his story about accidentally attending a funeral for someone he didn't know. When he asked for my number, I gave it without hesitation. When he texted me that night, "Had a really great time today. Think I could convince you to break your routine and try a different cafe tomorrow?" I said yes immediately. I didn't recognize him. How could I? The boy I'd tormented at Westbrook High was scrawny and terrified, with acne and braces, and shoulders that curved inward like he was trying to disappear. This Adrian, my Adrian, was confident, polished. He held eye contact and touched my arm when he laughed and kissed me on our 3rd date like he'd been waiting his whole life to do it. There was no trace of that frightened boy, or so I thought. Our first real date was at a wine bar in the West Village. Adrian wore a charcoal sweater that made his eyes look like silver. He ordered for both of us, a bold move that should have annoyed me, but instead made me feel cared for, protected. "So, tell me, Ethan," he said, swirling his wine, "what's your origin story?" "My what?" "Everyone has one, the thing that made them who they are." His smile was warm, inviting. "I want to know yours." I should have been honest, should have told him about the person I used to be, the things I'd done, the guilt that still woke me up at night. But he was looking at me like I was someone worth knowing, so I lied. Pretty boring, actually. Small town in Connecticut, normal childhood, came to New York for a fresh start. Running from something? My heart stopped. What? Most people who move to New York are, he said lightly. It's part of the city's charm. We're all running from something. I forced a laugh. Maybe I was running toward something instead. He reached across the table and took my hand. His fingers were long and elegant, an architect's fingers. "And did you find it?" I looked at him, at the candlelight dancing in his eyes, at the soft curve of his smile, and thought, maybe I just did. "Ask me again in 6 months," I said. He squeezed my hand. "Deal." We stayed until the bar closed. We walked through the city streets until my feet ached, and his laugh became my favorite sound. When we finally stopped in front of my building, he kissed me against the door, slow and deep and perfect. "I've wanted to do that all night," he whispered against my lips. I pulled him closer. "Then do it again." He did. When I finally stumbled into my apartment at 2 in the morning, I felt like I was floating, like someone had reached into my chest and replaced my damaged heart with something new and whole. I fell asleep smiling. I should have been terrified. The relationship moved fast. 3 weeks in, Adrian had a toothbrush at my place. 6 weeks, half his closet. 2 months, and he was looking at apartments we could afford together. "Too fast?" he asked, wrapped in my sheets with sunlight making his hair look bronze. "No," I said, and meant it. "Feels right." He smiled and pulled me down for a kiss. "You feel right." Every moment with him felt like proof I'd become a better person. Like the universe was rewarding me for the work I'd put in, the therapy, the amends I'd tried to make. He was patient when my anxiety spiked, gentle when I woke from nightmares I couldn't explain. He held me when I cried about things I couldn't name, and never once asked me to be anything other than exactly who I was. "You're so different from anyone I've ever known," I told him once, running my fingers through his hair. We were in Central Park, lying on a blanket under a tree. It was one of those perfect fall days when the light turns everything golden. "Different how?" he asked. "You see me, the real me, not the mask I wear for everyone else." He turned to look at me, and something flickered across his face, something I couldn't read. I do see you, Ethan, he said quietly. All of you. Even the parts you think you're hiding. I kissed him. I'm not hiding anything from you. Another flicker. I know. He started talking about where we should go for dinner, and I forgot about the strange look in his eyes. I forgot about a lot of things when I was with Adrian. That was the point. He proposed on our one-year anniversary. We were back at the same cafe where we'd met. He'd reserved the whole place. I didn't even know you could do that with a cafe, and filled it with candles and flowers and all my favorite songs playing softly in the background. Ethan, he said, getting down on one knee. His hands were shaking. I know we haven't known each other that long. I know this might seem fast, but I have never been more certain of anything in my entire life. I was crying, actually crying. You've changed everything for me, he continued. Before you, I was just existing, going through the motions. But you make me want to actually live. You make me believe in second chances and fresh starts and all those things I thought were just pretty lies people told themselves. He opened a small velvet box. Inside was a simple platinum band. Marry me, he said. Let me spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you've made me. I said yes. Of course I said yes. Everyone at our wedding said we were perfect together. His friends, architect colleagues I'd met a handful of times, gave toasts about how he'd been transformed by love. My therapist, who I'd invited in a moment of sentiment, told me privately that she'd never seen me so at peace. You found your person, she said, squeezing my hand. Hold on to him. I intended to. Adrian's vows made everyone cry. He talked about destiny and fate and how some people come into your life to teach you what love really means. He promised to protect me, honor me, and love me through everything. You're my second chance, he said, voice breaking. My redemption. I thought he was talking about himself. When I said my vows, I promised him forever. I meant every word. We honeymooned in Greece. 2 weeks of sun-soaked skin and wine-drunk laughter and sex that felt like coming home. Adrian was tender and passionate and present in a way that made me forget there was a world outside our hotel room. On our last night, we lay tangled in sheets that smelled of salt and each other. Promise me something, he whispered. Anything. Promise me that no matter what happens, you'll remember how you feel right now, how we feel. I kissed his shoulder. Baby, nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna be old and gray and still disgustingly in love. He was quiet for a long moment. Promise me anyway. I promise. He held me tighter, so tight it almost hurt. I should have asked why he needed that promise. The first crack appeared 3 months after the wedding. We were at a dinner party with some of Adrian's colleagues. The wine was flowing, people were laughing, and I was feeling more relaxed than I had in weeks. Work had been brutal lately, long hours, demanding clients, and it felt good to just be. So how did you two meet? One of the architects asked, a woman named Sarah with kind eyes and an easy smile. Funny story, Adrian said, refilling my wine glass. His hand was steady. We actually went to high school together. My stomach dropped. Wait, really? Sarah leaned forward. That's so romantic. Childhood sweethearts? Not exactly, Adrian said, his voice light, casual. We didn't really know each other back then, just went to the same school. Yeah, different crowds, I forced a smile. Ethan was popular, star athlete. I was more of a wallflower. And you reconnected after all those years? That's straight out of a movie. It does feel like fate, Adrian said, looking at me. His eyes were unreadable. Doesn't it, love? Yeah, I managed. Fate. The conversation moved on, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Adrian had never mentioned knowing we went to the same high school. Not when we met, not during our entire relationship. Why would he hide that? In the Uber home, I tried to sound casual. So, Westbrook. Hmm? He was looking out the window. You never told me you went there. Didn't I? He turned to me with a smile. I could have sworn I mentioned it. You didn't. Well, like I said, we didn't really know each other. You were busy being a big deal, and I was just trying to survive. Survive? High school, he laughed, but it sounded wrong, hollow. It's not exactly a fun time for everyone, you know? I wanted to push, wanted to ask what he meant, but the Uber was pulling up to our building and Adrian was already getting out, and the moment passed. That night, I lay awake while he slept beside me. We went to the same high school. He never told me. Why would he? No, I was being paranoid. Lots of people don't talk about high school. It's not that deep. I rolled over and tried to sleep, but the doubt had been planted. The cracks widened. I started noticing things, small things, the way Adrian would sometimes watch me with an expression I couldn't name. The way he'd ask questions about my high school years that felt less like curiosity and more like tests. Did you ever think about the people you hurt back then? He asked one morning over coffee. I froze. What? When you were in high school, you said you were popular. Popular kids usually, they have a tendency to punch down. My throat was tight. I wasn't perfect. But did you ever apologize to the people you hurt? I've tried. Some of them don't want to hear from me. Interesting, he said, taking a sip of coffee. His face was blank. So you did hurt people. Adrian, where is this coming from? Just wondering, he said lightly. You're such a good person now. I'm curious who you used to be. He kissed me and left for work. I spent the day feeling like I was going to throw up. That night, I couldn't sleep. While Adrian breathed evenly beside me, I grabbed my phone and did something I hadn't done in years. I searched for my old high school on social media, scrolled through memories, photos, faces I'd tried to forget. And then I found him. A post from 7 years ago, a selfie of a young man, maybe 21, 22. He was thinner than my Adrian, with the same gray eyes but different features, softer, less defined. The caption read, "Finally growing into myself." To anyone from Westbrook who made my life hell, I win. The name on the account, Adrian Reeves. My hands were shaking. I scrolled further back, found photos of the same person, younger, 17, 16. In one photo, he was wearing a Westbrook High hoodie. In another, there was a bruise on his cheek. The caption, "Another Tuesday." I was going to sick. I stumbled to the bathroom and barely made it to the toilet. When I was done heaving, I splashed water on my face and stared at my reflection. No, it couldn't be. But even as I thought it, I knew. I went back to the bedroom, grabbed my phone, looked at the photos again. Adrian Reeves. I'd known an Adrian in high school. Everyone had. He was the kid we... Oh, God, what did I do to him? My memory was trying to protect me, trying to keep the specifics buried, but images were surfacing now, unwanted and unavoidable. Shoving him into lockers, tripping him in the cafeteria, laughing when he fell, posting those photos online. The photos. Jesus Christ, the photos. I was shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. How did I not recognize him? But I knew. He'd had work done. Nothing dramatic, just enough to reshape his face. Sharper jaw, refined nose. The kind of changes that made him look like an idealized version of himself. He'd become beautiful. He'd become someone I wouldn't recognize. Deliberately. I looked at him sleeping peacefully in our bed, his chest rising and falling, his hand still reaching toward my side of the mattress, like even in sleep he needed to touch me. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. I shouldn't have looked. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I did. A calendar notification. Phase 4 complete. Phase 5 begins tomorrow. My blood turned to ice. I didn't confront him. Not yet.
Instead, I waited until he left for work the next morning, and then I did what I should have done months ago. I looked. I started with his laptop. The password was our anniversary. Of course it was. Every detail of our relationship was designed to make me feel safe. What I found destroyed me. A folder labeled The Ethan Project. Inside, files organized by date going back years before we'd met at that cafe. Phase 1, Transformation, years 1 through 3. Photos of his face before and after procedures, training logs from a gym, style evolution, screenshots of YouTube videos, how to be charismatic, and building confidence, and make yourself unforgettable. A journal entry. He liked confident people, beautiful people. I need to become someone he can't resist. Phase 2, Surveillance, year 4. Records of my daily routine, photos of me taken from a distance, at work, at the grocery store, sitting alone in that cafe. My therapist's name and address, screenshots of my social media posts, analyzed for patterns. A map of my building with notes, usually home by 7 p.m., take same route every day, creature of habit, use this. Phase 3, Contact, year 4, month 6. Scripts, actual scripts of conversations, dozens of potential opening lines, practiced and perfected. The accidental meeting at the cafe had been rehearsed like a theater performance. Notes in the margins. Be vulnerable but not weak. Show interest but don't overwhelm. Make him feel seen. Everyone wants to be seen. It worked. Oh God, it worked perfectly. Phase 4, Relationship and Marriage, year 5. Detailed timelines of our relationship, notes on what made me happy, what triggered my anxiety, how to make me feel safe. Every spontaneous gesture had been planned. The proposal, the wedding, the honeymoon, every moment choreographed. A voice note recorded 3 days before our wedding. I've become someone he loves, someone he trusts completely. In 2 months, he'll be legally bound to me. Then we move to Phase 5. Phase 5, Revelation and Reckoning. This folder was smaller, just a few documents, but what they contained made my hand shake so badly I almost dropped the laptop.
A detailed plan for tonight, for this exact moment, for showing me everything. He needs to understand completely, the final note read. He needs to know that every moment of happiness was engineered, every touch was calculated, every I love you was part of the plan. Only then will he understand what he did to me. Only then will the score be even. At the bottom of the folder, a photo of me from high school, young, arrogant, smirking at the camera. And next to it, a photo of him, 17 years old, bruised, broken. The caption, "This is what you made me. Now I've made you into this." Attached was a photo from our wedding, me looking at Adrian like he hung the moon. I was going to throw up again. The door opened behind me. "Find what you were looking for?" I spun around. Adrian was standing in the doorway, still in his coat. He must have come back. Or maybe he never left. Maybe this was always part of the plan. "You," my voice broke, "you did all of this? Everything?" He walked toward me slowly, calmly. "Yes." "You really don't remember?" He laughed, bitter and sharp. "Of course you don't. Why would you? I was just one of dozens of people you tormented. Just another nobody whose life you ruined for fun." "Adrian, do you know what you did to me, Ethan? Really did?" He was close now. Too close. "You made me afraid to exist. You posted photos of me changing in the locker room online. Hundreds of people saw them, laughed at them, at me. I tried to transfer schools. My parents couldn't afford it, so I stayed. And every single day you made sure I knew I was worthless. I'm sorry." I whispered. I'm so sorry. Sorry? His laugh was wild. You're sorry? Well, that fixes everything, doesn't it? What do you want from me? I want you to feel what I felt, he shouted. I want you to know what it's like to realize everything good in your life is a lie. I want you to understand that the person you love most in the world sees you as a project, an experiment, a thing to be broken. Tears were streaming down his face now. I spent 5 years becoming someone you could love, 5 years turning myself into your perfect partner. Do you understand how much of myself I had to destroy to do that? I'm not even Adrian anymore. I don't know who I am. I just know I needed you to feel this. He pulled something from his pocket. A knife. The same knife that would end up at my throat hours later. But right now, he was just holding it, looking at it like he didn't know what to do. I planned to hurt you, really hurt you, make you beg, make you bleed. But then, he looked up at me, and his eyes were full of tears. But then, I fell in love with you. The room spun. What? I fell in love with you, you idiot. He laughed through tears. It wasn't supposed to happen. You were supposed to stay the monster, the bully, the person who ruined my life. But instead, you were kind and gentle, and you held me when I had nightmares, and you learned to cook my favorite foods, and you... He stopped, wiped his eyes. You became someone I actually wanted to be with, someone I didn't want to hurt. I couldn't breathe. Then why the knife? Because I can't stop, he shouted again. I've spent 5 years planning this, 5 years becoming this person. If I don't go through with it, then who am I? What was the point of any of it? Adrian. Don't. He backed away. Don't try to fix this. Don't try to make it okay. You don't get to be the hero. I don't want to be the hero. I just want to understand. Understand what? Was any of it real? Any of our relationship? He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I don't know anymore. We stood there for hours, just stood there, with the knife between us and the weight of 5 years of lies pressing down like gravity. Tell me about him, I finally said. The real you, not the person you created for me. Why? Because I want to know who I really married. Adrian, the real Adrian, looked at me like I'd struck him. You can't want that. He's weak. He's damaged. He's everything you taught me to hate. I was 17 and stupid and cruel, but I'm not that person anymore. Let me meet who you really are. He laughed bitterly. You don't get it. I don't know who I really am. I destroyed him to become this. Then let's find out together. The knife lowered slightly. You don't get to do this, he said, but his voice had lost its edge. You don't get to be understanding and patient and everything I needed you to be 5 years ago. That's not how this works. Then tell me how it works. I don't know. He slid down the wall, knife clattering to the floor. I thought I knew. I thought hurting you would fix me. But seeing you now, seeing how destroyed you look, He buried his hands in his hands. I just wanted you to understand, he said through tears. I wanted you to know what you did. Is that so wrong? I sat down next to him, not touching, just close. No, I said, it's not wrong. We sat in silence. Finally, he spoke again. I used to dream about you apologizing, about you getting on your knees and begging for forgiveness. I used to think that if you just said sorry, really meant it, then I could move on. I am sorry, more than you know. I know, he wiped his eyes. That's the worst part. I know you mean it. I can see the guilt eating you alive, but it doesn't change anything. The sorry doesn't undo it. Then what do we do? He looked at me, really looked at me. I don't know, he admitted. The plan ended here. I never thought past the revelation. Did you ever actually love me? The question hung between us. Adrian was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I thought I was just pretending, playing a role, but somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like an act. I'd wake up next to you and forget, just for a second, why I was there. I'd catch myself actually meaning the things I said, actually wanting to make you happy. He stopped, wiped his eyes. You became someone I actually wanted to be with, someone I didn't want to hurt. I couldn't breathe. Then why the knife? Because I can't stop, he shouted again. I've spent 5 years planning this, 5 years becoming this person. If I don't go through with it, then who am I? What was the point of any of it? Adrian. Don't. He backed away. Don't try to fix this. Don't try to make it okay. You don't get to be the hero. I don't want to be the hero. I just want to understand. Understand what? Was any of it real? Any of our relationship? He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I don't know anymore. We stood there for hours, just stood there, with the knife between us and the weight of 5 years of lies pressing down like gravity. Tell me about him, I finally said. The real you, not the person you created for me. Why? Because I want to know who I really married. Adrian, the real Adrian, looked at me like I'd struck him. You can't want that. He's weak. He's damaged. He's everything you taught me to hate. I was 17 and stupid and cruel, but I'm not that person anymore. Let me meet who you really are. He laughed bitterly. You don't get it. I don't know who I really am. I destroyed him to become this. Then let's find out together. The knife lowered slightly. You don't get to do this, he said, but his voice had lost its edge. You don't get to be understanding and patient and everything I needed you to be 5 years ago. That's not how this works. Then tell me how it works. I don't know. He slid down the wall, knife clattering to the floor. I thought I knew. I thought hurting you would fix me. But seeing you now, seeing how destroyed you look, He buried his hands in his hands. I just wanted you to understand, he said through tears. I wanted you to know what you did. Is that so wrong? I sat down next to him, not touching, just close. No, I said, it's not wrong. We sat in silence. Finally, he spoke again. I used to dream about you apologizing, about you getting on your knees and begging for forgiveness. I used to think that if you just said sorry, really meant it, then I could move on. I am sorry, more than you know. I know, he wiped his eyes. That's the worst part. I know you mean it. I can see the guilt eating you alive, but it doesn't change anything. The sorry doesn't undo it. Then what do we do? He looked at me, really looked at me. I don't know, he admitted. The plan ended here. I never thought past the revelation.
Did you ever actually love me? The question hung between us. Adrian was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I thought I was just pretending, playing a role. But somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like an act. I'd wake up next to you and forget, just for a second, why I was there. I'd catch myself actually meaning the things I said, actually wanting to make you happy. He laughed bitterly. I fell in love with you while planning to destroy you. How fucked up is that? Pretty fucked up, I agreed. I hate you, he said softly, but I also love you, and I don't know which feeling is real. Maybe they both are. He looked at me. How are you so calm right now? I'm not. I'm terrified, but I stopped, started again. I also understand, not what you did, but why you did it. And I think that's the first step. First step to what? I don't know, maybe healing, maybe closure, maybe just understanding each other as real people instead of as the villain and victim we've been playing. Adrian picked up the knife. I didn't flinch. He stared at it for a long moment. Then he set it on the table between us. I'm not going to use it, he said. I thought I could, but I can't. Okay? Just okay? What do you want me to say? That I'm grateful? Relieved? I am, but I also think you knew you wouldn't. I don't think you ever actually wanted to hurt me. You just wanted me to feel what you felt. Mission accomplished, he said darkly. We sat there as the sun moved across the floor, as afternoon turned to evening, neither of us moving. Finally, Adrian spoke. I think I need to leave. My heart stopped. Leave? Not forever, maybe. I don't know. But I need space. I need to figure out who I am when I'm not Adrian the revenge plot. And you need time to process this without me watching you. Where will you go? Somewhere, anywhere. Does it matter? Yes, I said. It matters to me. He smiled sadly. See, you keep doing that, being exactly what I need. It makes it so hard to hate you. Maybe you're not supposed to hate me anymore. Maybe. He stood up. I'll get my things. I watched him pack, watched him fold clothes we'd bought together, collect toiletries from our shared bathroom. Every item felt like a piece of my heart being torn away. At the door, he stopped. Ethan? Yeah? Thank you for not trying to stop me. I'm not giving up on you, on us, whatever we are. I'm just giving you space. What if I don't come back? Then I'll wait anyway. He looked at me for a long moment, then he left. I didn't cry until I heard the elevator doors close. 3 months passed. I went to therapy 3 times a week. I talked about everything, the bullying, the relationship, the revelation. My therapist listened without judgment and helped me understand that both things could be true. I was a victim of manipulation, and I had also been a perpetrator of cruelty. You're both trauma survivors, she told me. His trauma is obvious. Yours is more complex. You're living with the guilt of who you used to be. Does that make us even? I asked. Trauma isn't a scoreboard. I sold our apartment. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I found a smaller place in Queens and started over. Again. I wrote letters to Adrian, dozens of them. I never sent them. What would I say? Sorry? I love you? Come back? All true, none adequate. On a Tuesday in April, my doorbell rang. I opened it. Adrian stood there, holding a duffel bag and looking like he'd been through a war. Hi, he said. Hi. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat in my living room, a living room he'd never seen, and looked at each other. I went home, to Connecticut, saw my parents, saw my old therapist, tried to figure out who I am.
Did you? Getting there. He smiled weakly. Turns out when you spend 5 years becoming someone else, finding yourself again takes time. I've been doing the same thing, I said, trying to figure out who I am when I'm not running from my past. And also getting there. We were quiet. I missed you, Adrian said, which is insane. I should hate you. Part of me does. But I also... He stopped. I also love you. The you that exists now. The you who held me and listened to me and made me feel safe even while I was plotting to destroy you. I love you too, I said. The real you, whoever that is. I want to meet him. He's pretty fucked up. Me too. Adrian laughed. Actually laughed. We're disaster. Completely. But maybe, he reached across the space between us, maybe disasters can be rebuilt. I took his hand. I'd like to try. I can't promise I'm over it, he warned. The anger, the hurt, it comes and goes. Sometimes I'll look at you and see the teenager who destroyed me. Sometimes I'll hate you for things you can't even remember doing. I know. And I can't promise the manipulation is completely gone. I spent 5 years learning how to push your buttons. Those instincts don't just disappear. I know that too. So why would you want this? I squeezed his hand. Because for the first time in my life, someone sees all of me. The monster I was, the person I'm trying to be, and hasn't walked away. Because you spent 5 years becoming someone I'd love, but I think the person you buried is even more worth loving. Because we're both broken, and maybe we can help each other heal. That's either the most romantic thing I've ever heard, or the most codependent. Probably both. He smiled, really smiled. And for the first time, I saw glimpses of the boy he used to be. The one before I broke him, before he rebuilt himself into a weapon. I have conditions, he said. Okay. Couples therapy, twice a week, non-negotiable. Deal. Full transparency, no more secrets. If I'm having a revenge fantasy about you, I tell you. If you're struggling with guilt, you tell me. Deal. And that at any point this becomes unhealthy, if we're hurting each other more than helping, we walk away, no matter how much it hurts. Deal. He moved closer. I'm serious, Ethan. This is going to be hard. We're starting from scratch. No shared apartment, no joint accounts. We're dating, properly, learning each other as real people. I want that. You might not like what you learn. Risk I'm willing to take. He kissed me. Soft and uncertain and nothing like the practiced kisses from before. It was perfect. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. I spent 5 years planning your destruction, he whispered. Now I'm gonna spend the rest of my life trying to love you honestly. Is that insane? Completely, I said. But I'm in if you are. That was 2 years ago. We're not perfect, far from it. Some days Adrian looks at me and I can see the 17-year-old boy with bruises and broken trust. Some days I look at him and remember that every moment of our early relationship was a lie. But we're trying. We're in therapy, we're honest. When Adrian has bad days, when the trauma resurfaces, I hold him and let him rage and cry and hate me. When I have bad days, when the guilt threatens to swallow me whole, he reminds me that I'm not that 17-year-old anymore. Last month, he showed me his old photos, the real ones, not the carefully curated revenge folder, but his actual high school experience. Photos of a scared kid trying to survive. Photos of bruises and tears and hopelessness. Photos I'd either forgotten or never saw in the first place. I want you to see him, the person I was before I became a project, because he deserves to be remembered too. So I looked, and I cried, and I apologized again for things I'll never be able to undo. And Adrian held me and said, I know, I forgive you. I'm still working on forgiving you, but I'm trying. Last week, we moved in together again. A new place, new furniture, new beginning. On the first night, as we lay in bed, Adrian turned to me. Do you ever wonder how this would have gone if I just confronted you that day at the cafe? If I said, remember me? Remember what you did? Every day, I admitted. I think about it too. I think I would have lost my nerve. I think you would have apologized and left, and that would have been it. No closure, no healing. Just two people still carrying their pain. Was this better? He was quiet for a long time. I don't know. I got closure, but I also hurt you. I got revenge, but I also love you. The you that exists now. The you who held me and listened to me and made me feel safe even while I was plotting to destroy you. I love you too, I said. The real you, whoever that is. I want to meet him. He kissed my shoulder. It's real. We're not a fairy tale. We're not even a conventional love story. We're two people who destroyed each other trying to rebuild something better from the ruins. Some days I think we're going to make it. Some days I'm not sure. But every day I choose to try. And so does he. The knife that was once pressed against my throat now sits in a box in our closet. We keep it as a reminder, not of violence or revenge, but of the moment we both chose something different. We chose healing over hate. We chose each other over anger.
We chose to build something real from something that started as a lie. Is that redemption? I don't know, but it's something. And for now, that's enough. A final truth. If you'd told 17-year-old Ethan that he'd end up married to one of the kids he tormented, he'd have laughed. If you'd told 17-year-old Adrian that he'd fall in love with his bully, he'd have called you cruel. But we're not those people anymore. We're the survivors of our own story. And somehow, against all odds, we're trying to write a better ending together. Not because what happened was okay, not because the hurt doesn't matter, but because we both decided that our worst moments don't have to define us. We can be more than our trauma. We can be more than our mistakes. We can be two imperfect people loving each other imperfectly and calling that progress. The revenge plot that was supposed to destroy us ended up being the thing that saved us both. And every day we wake up and choose each other again. It's not a fairy tale, but it's ours. And that's the most honest love story I know.
The end.